I'll tell you. Okay, Greg, it should be on. It says it's live. Jesse, it doesn't... Wait, Jess, did you put it onto airplane so your phone's not going to ring? No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Well, why am I seeing that Kat is starting a live video now?
That means someone's calling me. Because I have to connect to Wi-Fi. It's also on Do Not Disturb.
Beautiful. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, great. Hey, honey, do you see it?
It says starting in 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yay. Okay, good.
Wait, is that good?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's not good. It should be on.
Where is the drawing? Linda.
Should. Let me try. By the way, I don't see last week's out there without having...
Okay, I can't deal with that now, Greg. Let me not worry about that yet.
I had to click on it.
Oh, my God, Jesse.
It's not finished.
Yeah, Greg, let's just get this together now, and then we'll be good. Here.
You're not getting it until it's finished, Hedy.
Oh, I wish you would be seeing it.
No, yeah, I said I had to click on it to click on watch the video.
Oh, so it's working?
Should I get out? See if it goes automatically. Let me get out.
You know what, honey? I think it might be working. I think it's working. Is it working? I don't see it on mine. Okay, let me find it on
It says
mine.
live now,
Oh, good.
but it's not showing her live. Before it was doing a countdown. I got out completely just to what would happen. Now it just says live now, but it's just your picture.
So it's going to have a countdown until...
Yeah, but it... Oh, then you have to click live now and then watch live video.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's working.
Don't know what would happen if I didn't do that, but that's, yes, what I have to do.
Okay, meanwhile, I've been talking my head off. Hello, everybody! We weren't getting it, but now we did.
When do I say welcome? Do we test first?
We'll start in a minute. We are testing and we're good. Janine says, Hedy, I love you. You know what, Grandma? You could probably even take off your mask since you're not using it. I guess it's okay. I'm 6 feet away.
Airplane, go away.
Oh, wait. You're not hooked up, girl.
Am I wearing...
What, you are hooked up? Jess, you hooked her up? The mic? Fabulous. Okay.
It's on her coat.
Yes, it's up here.
You are good. Sorry for all Ken's talking. Grandma, you want to take that off? Take off your mask? Or no? Okay. Grandma! You just put it right there. Yeah. You're on!
I'm on. Everybody welcome. Happy New Year. And this is going to be a very different Monday night for me. Because of the New Year. You know, we always gather together sometime at the end of the year as a family and talked about what was the most important thing for the year and how we want to change what happens next year. And what I received suddenly, as if it came clearly from outer space, a message from Eric, who passed away in 2016. And it said, allow yourself to be happy. And I need to go into that. I need to explain to you. I have been so very lucky all my life. Like Anne Frank, my family and I were hidden from the Nazis. Only she and her family ended up dying in the concentration camps. I and my family did the same hiding, but nobody told us, and we escaped. until we received visas from Panama and were saved. Years later,
Grandma, my dear, I have to interrupt for 1 second. I have to move your microphone. I have to move your microphone. Can you put on your mask again? Hey everybody, this'll just take a moment. I have to move her microphone, so sorry. Good. Okay, now let me do this.
I think I'll be on my collar, right?
Okay.
Well, please, thank you.
Oh, get careful. Okay, let's try it now. Take off your mask.
Welcome again. Can you hear me?
Let's see how it is now. Everyone is saying the sound is really bad. Jess, why would it be that the sound isn't working? Oh, it's better. It's better. Grandma, could you speak more? Good enough? It's still not the best. Is it plugged in?
Should I be louder?
You shouldn't have to be
I
louder.
can be loud.
Jesse, is there a way to control the volume? Let me plug it in again.
Remember, it's a machine.
Grandma, can you speak again?
Yes. If I should be louder, I can be louder.
They can't hear the mic. Jesse,
What?
they can't hear the mic. All they hear is me. That means the mic's not on. Oh, Mary says it's better. Janine says it's great. Everyone says yay. Grandma!
Yay, okay.
Start again.
We're going to begin at the beginning. First of all, Happy New Year. Okay? Okay. Every year, at the end of the year, at some period of time, my family would get together. That was Eric and the kids and I, before we had grandchildren. And we would look at the year and talk about it and see what made us remember the most, what meant the most. And we looked back, what could we change? And so this time on the 30th, which is New Year's Eve, in totally different surroundings, we sat on my deck and with masks on and no food because we don't like to eat with each other now because we have to open our mouths and breathe. And we thought, and suddenly I got a message from Eric. I don't believe in spirits or anything, but I talked to him anyway. He passed away in 2016, and I got a message from him that was so clear that I need to share it with you. The message gave me permission to be happy. Now, years ago, when Eric proposed to me, and I said, why did you pick me? Because he was always somebody who had so many women chasing after him. Why do you want to marry me? And he said, because I needed joy in my life, and you carry it. So that message had a real meaning, because I've always stopped myself from feeling happy with survivor's guilt. I have to give you a little background on that. When Hitler came to Vienna, Austria, where we lived and I was born, we went into hiding. My family and I went into hiding, And everybody in that apartment building knew that we were Jews, but nobody told on us. As a matter of fact, and this I'll tell you another time, because I have too much to tell you this time, we were saved by Nazis. And I promise you that'll be a story of the future. And years later, I became very ill. I hit my knee on a car door. The swelling didn't go down. And finally, through my doing volunteer work in the prison system, somebody had a son-in-law who was a rheumatologist. No rheumatologist had known what this was about. This one did, because he worked with cases of unknown diseases. And he found out it was lupus. And he and a therapist who understood how to mentally give me strength healed me. And then 2.5 years ago, when I was 89, 88, I forgot. I fell. I had a stroke. I fell on cement sidewalk. I broke my right hip. I broke my right shoulder. And through a wonderful doctor and therapy classes, I healed. I can draw and paint, even though the arm, the shoulder, in nightmares I knew it would never work again. But the surgeon was wonderful. And the hip, I walk. I am not very graceful, and I do have a walker if I go more than an hour, but I'm healed. And instead of just rejoicing, when I'm done feeling excited and happy, survivor's guilt steps in. Why did Anne Frank die and I'm alive?
Do you want to read what you wrote?
Why do people... 1 minute.
Do you want to read what you wrote? First do Linda and then read what you wrote if you want.
I don't hear.
Do you want to read what you wrote?
Okay.
If you want.
No, this goes easier.
Beautiful.
Okay. And so many people are disabled for life. So when I feel happy, guilt steps in. Why me? How come I made it? And today, my son drove me, who had read what I've written. He drove me to visit a doctor who found me fine. And we talked about this. And it suddenly reminded me when Eric decided to go back to Germany, because when he proposed to me, he said, parts of my life I can never speak about. It's just I carry so much rage in me and anger in me, and it's killing me, and I have to learn how to get rid of it. And I watched through the years of marriage how he would say, did you see what that son of a bee did over there? He cut in front of somebody else. Let's go get him. And I'd say, Eric. And I watched the rage and the anger disappearing, mostly through becoming a volunteer in the prison system, which both of us did. Our kids also did for different times. And it released it. He needed to get rid of it. He got rid of it by teaching other people. If you stay who you are because of them, then they win. So anyway, we went back to Germany because he knew he was able to get rid of the anger and the hate in America, but he needed to prove that it was gone, and he could only do that in Germany. So we went back. And I don't remember which concentration camp we visited. I think it was Dachau. My son thinks it's Utting. It doesn't matter because he was in so many camps. And we're walking away, and I had always wanted Eric to cry, because for me, tears release. But Eric couldn't cry. And I said to him, Eric, hoping that he would cry when we walked away from the camps, I said, how do you feel? And he gave a big laugh, and he said, happy. I never dreamed I would be able to walk here as a free person. I am so happy to be here walking and free. And I needed to hear that in the car with Kenny and tell it to him. And we both came to a decision. It is good to be happy at the moment of happiness, but it is okay to be sad if you want to be sad. Obey. Okay? Now, the painting I will come to afterwards. It's like a miracle that the painting which deals with that comes today. That would be number 8. But first, I have to begin with the drawing that I usually do of somebody surviving odds. And whereas it used to be through Harvey Wiesenberg to do people whom I had drawn, now I cannot draw people anymore in institutions. So I do us with the mask on. I have an amazing friend called Linda. Could you show Linda?
And tell them it's on the Facebook page too. Tell them it's on the Facebook page too.
Oh, it's on the Facebook. It's on my Facebook page. Now, before you think of Linda as looking like a homeless person bundled in rags, we work outside. We don't go into the house. And it was very cold when she came. Underneath all that, blankets and winter coats and winter gloves and boots, there is a very athletic woman. She is an excellent athlete. She comes to me on Tuesdays after playing tennis, and then she bundles up. So just know this is what we look like now, but underneath there is Linda. And since I want to introduce you to people, let me tell you a little bit about her. She has taught me so much. She is, and I have to read that word because I don't know how to pronounce it, endiction. It means an activity doctor. Here you go. Okay. Activity epidemiology. And she has been teaching me what I'm going to teach you. I spoke to her with such pride. Linda, I did this many blocks today, and tomorrow I'm going to go 1 block further. And she said, no, listen to your body. If you push your body, you do damage. Talk to the body, listen to it, find out if that's too much. Maybe a little bit of a block, maybe a little more later. But don't force your body into anything. You're 91 years old, and you spend so much of your life sitting. Don't hurt your body. Listen. Also, she told me that whenever I get tired, I should lie down and rest. I always thought that's when you push. And the funny thing is, and let me teach that to all of you, if you are kind to your body, It's wonderful. Back to you. I couldn't do this for years. I talk to it now. I say, give me another inch, one more inch, and it listens. But if in the old days, after I had the surgery on the hip and stopped using this leg when I didn't walk, it didn't listen. Now when I talk to it and I say, I'm not going to hurt you, would you give me another inch? Another inch? So let me teach you what Linda has been teaching me. It works. And I found out that whatever you attack, attacks you back. Whether it's a human being or your foot. Okay? That's that. Now, Kenny wrote me notes so that I don't stay too long on one thing. When I am going to speak now about the book, about the story, you see, I always thought someday I'll write a book, because my Orchard Street series is 50 years old. Every year it gets a little older as I get older. And I really intend to live a long time. So I need you to know, I need you to know that this is history. I began the first painting in 1973. It is now 2001 and 21. So we're speaking of half a century ago. And all of this is going to be the history of one of the most wonderful parts of my life. At the moment, there are 92 paintings, and this is only number 8. So when I wrote this, it'll put you into that street, okay? Thank goodness for machinery.
Can I help? Can I help?
No, it's okay, I got it. Okay. I want you to feel the moment when I met Brigitte. Brigitte came from England. And here we go. I met Brigitte Bernard on a hot morning in the summer of 1973. She had come from England a few weeks before, and on her last day in New York City, she went to visit Orchard Street. The sun was beating down. Music blared from the loudspeakers. Shoppers thronged the street, and it seemed as if the area had turned into a carnival. I was painting a scene with the Adler Building at its center. You saw that Adler Building and the fort painting, I think. The colors were as loud and as hot as the street itself. Could you do a painting for me with reds like those? Before she returned to London, we planned the scene. I took the loudest and most joyous signs on the street, that of the lace-up shoe shop, toned it down with the white building next door, and went wild with the colors and the people of United 4 Ltd. Brigitte returned to America in the middle of winter. We met for coffee around the corner at Galashov's dairy restaurant, and I sketched her. I need you to know, I'd like you to become familiar with that Orchard Street, which no longer exists, half a century later, because Galashov's was my home from home. Let me see. Yeah. She stands in the painting right in front of Modern Woolens, carrying a yellow shopping bag from Lace-Up Shoe Shop.
And you can see the painting on Facebook.
And you can see the painting on Facebook, but you can also see the story. So you don't have to worry of where she's standing. That, incidentally, was when I didn't know how to do faces. I could do them with pencil. I could do them large, but I couldn't do them the size of a fingernail. It was what I learned on the street from people who knew how to do miniatures. And they said, Hedy, do you have miniature brushes? And I said, what's that? And they said, use a good watercolor brush, the most expensive one you can find. And I use them to this day. I order them from Blix, where there's a young woman who introduced me to the best brushes. Okay. There's a boy wearing a blue hat and a blue and black patterned shirt. His name is Xavier. When we first met, he was just learning English. His job was to work in front of United 4 Ltd, and his main responsibility was to watch that no one stole anything. Okay? His job. When music blared from the loudspeakers, he'd clap his hands. I don't know if he did this in order to attract customers or because he was young and loved music. Okay. Now let me explain this wonderful street, okay? But let me also tell you a little bit more about Orchard Street, because Orchard Street no longer exists. Orchard Street, what Dr. DeCory on painting number 2 had said, whenever I come to America, I go to New York in order to go to Orchard Street, because in Europe we have outdoor markets. You don't in America, except for Orchard Street. Okay. But one Sunday, when I arrived in order to put the last touches on the painting, the street was not the same. Across the street from the scene represented here, on the spot where I always stood when I worked, the sidewalk had been roped off. Detectives were in the process of taking photographs, and policemen and spectators were everywhere. A trail of blood led from the middle of the block to the corner. An hour later, the blood had been washed off by one of the employees of the store, in front of which the body had fallen. It was the body of a young man who had been stabbed. He was just coming from the bar around the next corner. There was a fight. By 11 a.m., the street was mobbed by shoppers. The music blared, and few people knew that someone had died there in the early hours of the morning. In New York City, in the year 1974, you cannot even ask about such events because the spectators themselves have forgotten them. No one could tell me who he was. Perhaps I know him. Perhaps he's someone I painted yesterday. This is what we struggle with. A world where there is so much joy and so much pain. I would love to read your thoughts and reflections, because this is the command. I want you to enjoy being happy. I want you to allow yourself being happy. But what do I do when tragedy exists for others? For me, if somebody were to ask me what stands out most in the year 2020, with all the joy and happiness I had, what stands out is that my country separated children from their parents who had come here for refuge. And instead of keeping the family together, we took away the children, didn't even write down their names or destinations, and put them into prison cells. They might not be called prison cells, but they were detention cells. And because that had been what we feared the most when Hitler came, that's what signifies 2020 for me. It's over now, but you know why? Because of COVID. Isn't it amazing that it took a disease which has taken away so many lives here, stopped my government from taking children away? I would love your comments. Are there any comments, Kenny?
There are a number of comments, and there'll be more coming while they're writing. Do you want to share this?
Afterwards, after the comments.
Okay. There aren't.
Kenny will read the comments.
Okay, there aren't comments yet, but there's a lot of comments, but let me just read them. Okay.
Could you also mail them on Facebook?
So Michelle said, Hedy, I am so glad that your appointment went well. Catherine Olson said, Hedy, I'm watching your lecture. Love it. You are one of a kind and a most loving friend. Eileen Cutler said, 91 years of wisdom and integrity, now more flexible. Ha. Julie Williams said, hi, Hedy and Paige family, Happy New Year. And Michelle said, bravo. And Elena Taylor said, I am watching with Trey. I love you so very much. Tammy said, there is an element of survivor's guilt in the pandemic. I'm home, warm, well fed. Others are not. And Terry Tramontano Falquero said, Happy New Year. And Tammy said, Happy New Year, Hedy and family. And Michelle sends love. And everyone gave us advice on the sound. So thank you all for that too. And Elena said, Happy New Year, Hedy.
Elena, do me a favor. Is it possible to show one of your works here? Because I was never able to create color and shadows the way you are.
Tell her to send a picture and then we'll do it.
Kenny said if you send me one, you can put it on. Oh, I would love it. And if you have any writing that you want me to show, please do, because I need... Okay, how much time do I still have?
You have time, but there's a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay, Janine said, hi, Hedy, love you. And Michelle said, in 1976, when we celebrated the bicentennial, my friends and I arrived at the Hudson River early to get a good spot. We found a dead man floating in the river. Hours later, no one knew. It reminds me of the young man who you saw lose his life. Michelle also said, Happy New Year, everyone. And Elena said, it would be my pleasure, dear Hedy. So it's just about time.
Okay, then I want to say something else. Okay, this is important, people. this is a period of time when we are allowed to reflect, because our world disappeared. It is up to us to begin a new world when the doors open up again. This is the time when you can write. Do comments. Do comments of depth. Go deep into yourself. What happened to me, my grandchild, Jessie, lives so differently from what I thought was the way to live. If somebody calls you, you've got to answer right away. He doesn't. He explained it to me. He said, you see, he's a counselor with young children in a camp which deals very much with children with special needs. He said, you see, if they call me, I'm there that moment because they need me. But if somebody like you or a grown-up tells me to do something, they can wait. And he said, so I'm so good at my job because the kids are little. But if you ask me to do something, I promise I'll do it in my time. And I have been doing that, telephone calls. I get telephone calls now, and half of them are robot calls.
We have more comments. Oh, it's pretty much time, but we have more comments to you, too.
Oh, I want the comments.
Okay.
I love the comments.
Julie said, I agree with Tammy's comment. The dire circumstances faced by so many make my own petty complaints pale by comparison. Feeling very grateful and hopeful that the new administration will bring much needed humaneness back to the White House and the country. And Michelle said, stay warm and healthy. And Terry said, and maybe you could briefly respond to this one. You opened with starting with your husband allowing you to be happy. Can you elaborate?
Elaborate. I hated Facebook because I get so many messages of people who ask for my address and try to be personal. I cannot be personal with people I don't know. And I was afraid of social media because of that. But what I learned, all of you who make comments that are so introspective make me realize I'm allowed to approach the world because of this machine. And just the way I have to take things, in other words, if I eat chocolate, I'll get fatter. Am I willing? Yes. And the same is true of Facebook. Even though I get some comments which make me feel exposed because they're rude. I get a lot of rudeness also. But I get the ones who listen. Goodbye. I love you all.
Oh, wait, one more comment.
I'd love it.
Tammy Smith says, make America kind again.
Can I say something about Tammy? Wonderful. Tammy's the reason all of this began. Because, like me, she's so interested in answers. And she said to me, what kind of art do you do? And I said, I really don't know how to explain it. I guess I do street scenes. And she said, explain that. So I said, you know what? Let me go back to the papers that I used to write and I'll send them to you. And I went back to what I had written in 2018. I went back to what I had written in 1973, and I rediscovered my past. I have to stop. I'll see you all next Monday with painting number 9.
Can I read 2 last comments?
Yes.
Eileen said, embrace the best of embrace the best of Facebook and chocolate.
Yes.
And Michelle said, when we visit, I will share my evolving feelings about your beloved Eric. I could feel his anger. I'm so glad that he let it go.
Who said that?
Michelle.
Oh, wow. Can we?
Sure.
I need Kenny to do this, okay? Because it's through Kenny that we got this wonderful article.
Do you want to tell what it is?
No, you tell.
Well, Eric was in the Wall Street Journal, the best advice our elders ever gave us. And that's Eric right there with his mom as a little boy.
Tell the story.
Should I post it on
You
Facebook
must.
next time just because it's a little late now?
You must tell it.
Tell it now?
Yes.
Okay, Hedy says tell it now. Eric Pegromansky, a Holocaust survivor, I'll do it this way, taught him to find happiness even in the darkest times. Throughout his life, his dad told a story about when he was a child in Lithuania in the late 1930s. One day, an old friend came to visit the family and told them, "Now comes a time of great joy." Someone asked what he meant, and he said, "Every day that we are safe, there will be joy. Every time we can eat and our children can eat, there will be joy. Every day that we survive, moving us one step closer to freedom, there will be joy." Eric survived a concentration camp, and that message is part of what helped him.
Kenny, thank you. Am I visible still? I love you all. The day will come when I can put my arms around you all.
Beautiful.
Good night. Happy New Year. Allow yourself to be happy.